You can hear it in the voice right now, Harry, of Mike Norvell, the Florida State head coach. 2-0 for the first time in a long time. They beat LSU 24-23. They blocked the field goal. They blocked an extra point. LSU muffed 2 punts. Mike Norvell didn't want to hear anything about how big this was of a win for Florida State as a program.
It's big for everybody because we did have a great stage to put on display the identity of what I believe this team is made up of. And it's young men with character that love to work, that believe in each other, that they believe in the process. And I would have liked to have probably finished that game a lot cleaner than what we did. And as I've said before, sometimes you need to go through what you need to prove you can get through.
In other words, Harry, he's saying, get off me. At least for this week, because we're 2-0, we beat LSU.
It was huge. It was huge for Mike Norvell, who hasn't had the success that he probably wanted. The first year he got there, it was a lot of dysfunction. He tried to get things going last year, but then they lost to, was it Jacksonville State?
Yeah.
Lost to Jacksonville
FCS
State.
Program.
Was it the last play of the game as well? The last play of the game, they lost to Jacksonville State. To start the season 2-0. Like the first game they played this year, they had 3 100-yard rushers. And that really opened my eyes. And then you seen him last night. I'm impressed with Travis, the quarterback, and how he's progressed throughout the years. And seeing him last night under pressure, just delivering for this team with his arm, with his legs, and being poised and being composed. And I thought it was very dynamic. A guy named Danny Cannell, who played quarterback for Florida State, Warwick Dunn was at the game. But a lot of Florida State fans was upset from the toss sweep play, right? That the running back fumbled down at the end. And Danny Cannell tweeted, I never heard any fans complain about that when I gave that toss to Warwick Dunn a ton of times back in the day.
Well, where were they when that play worked the first 24 times in the game?
It was just a mishaps.
Those
things happen. Now, you don't want them to happen, but it happened.
God.
They happen.
God. Fan bases, I love fan bases in college football, but at times, how about open your bloody eyes? Seriously. Yeah. That play worked a lot because I guarantee you know what the narrative sounded like if they didn't fumble the ball. They kept running that play. It was great. They fumbled the first time.
LSU couldn't stop it.
Exactly. The kid catches it. I get results will determine narratives. It's just idiotic when you hear stuff like that from fans. Your team actually was able to pull this game out and win. This is a game that this program would not have won the last 4 to 5 years when you threw so many different coaches, Bobby Bowden. You're 2-0 for the first time in a long, long time. Accept the victories and stop trying to figure out what's so wrong that's going to cost your football team because the first 24 times that play was working. It didn't work the last time, and LSU almost scored. I get it, but enough with that. That's just dumb when it comes to fan base that want to get on a team that is now 2-0 for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, and I thought Florida State did enough of good things in that game to win it. You talk about recovering muff kicks by the punt returner for LSU. You talk about blocking kicks when they needed the most. You talk about the quarterback position, the receiver stepping up when they need to make plays, the trick play that turned into a score. So there was enough good things and positive things. You can always learn from a football game, but I thought there were also enough positive things amongst Florida State that allowed them to win the game as well.
And one team that really was able to have a lot of positives despite not winning was Notre Dame, because nobody thought they would hold an Ohio State offense that was a 17.5-point favorite. Then it dropped down to 16.5 the day of the game, Harry. Nobody thought that Notre Dame, A, would have a halftime lead, B, defense would play that well, and C, would hold Ohio State to 21. But Marcus Freeman, who played at Ohio State, the Notre Dame head coach, he's not trying to hear it about moral victories.
There's no such thing as a moral victory. We didn't win. We didn't finish the game. We didn't execute. I think we found out we got a good football team. We got a tough, we got a football team. We got to learn how to finish. And that's ultimately what happened in the game. Battle for 2.5 quarters. And then they score one with 17 seconds before the third quarter. And then we don't respond and they go in and score again in the fourth quarter. And that's the game. That's really the game. And that we didn't finish. We got to be able to finish when it matters the most. And that's ultimately what cost us. So we got a lot to learn from this game.
I don't see this team potentially losing again to November 5th. They're not losing to Marshall. They're not losing to California. North Carolina can't play any defense. BYU is good, but not that good. Stanford, UNLV, Syracuse. They, to me, are not in danger of losing any more games, Harry, until November 5th when they take on Clemson, and that game's going to be in Notre Dame at 7:30 that night.
Yeah, Freddie, I told multiple people on the sidelines of that game, as I was watching it. Whether Notre Dame wins or loses this football game, this is a win in Notre Dame. And I understand what Coach Freeman is talking about. There's no such thing as more victories. But a lot of people came out of there with more praise for Notre Dame than they did cheers for Ohio State.
Sure.
And the play he just discussed and talked about right before the third quarter was over, I thought Notre Dame secondary did a phenomenal job containing the skill position players of Ohio State. That touchdown play that on 3rd and 11, they went cover zero. Cover zero is all-out blitz. You have no safety help. Everybody's on the island. And C.J. Stroud being so damn good, in which he is, noticed it, seen it, deciphered it, and threw a post for a touchdown. Now, cover zero coverage, you're not supposed to let a receiver inside leverage of you, so he's not supposed to be inside on the post. But you got to also remember, C.J. Stroud was a guy who was a Heisman candidate last year, so he dissected it all down and threw a touchdown. But the secondary, and I think the lack of depth defensive line-wise, is why Notre Dame didn't win the game.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.